Hello everyone! Blue Star Saber here once again to do another One Piece chapter review. Chapter 1155, The Rocks Pirates. Let's see, I'm sort of redoing this review because, I wasn't happy with the first one, but yeah, it's been a while since, but for those who are first time watching this or listening in, let's see, this review follows up the last review of where we see, Loki's childhood of feeling like he cannot be loved since his mother hated him, despite despite being a good king, was a bit of a neglectful father, and how the citizens came to view Loki as cursed when a great famine plagued the thing, and everyone believed that he was responsible for his curse that his mother kept on sprouting, as well as Loki's just rage at Hadruden, for being weak, but also having a mother's love, if you will, and also hating the people of Elbaf, but also feeling so neglectful, unloved, that he tried to take his own life by jumping in a cinema to Kaido. And then he ends up meeting the infamous Rocks Pirates, or at least the man who would lead the Rocks Pirates down the line, Rox Beck, which is revealed to be, not only did he kill an admiral at the Reverie, but he also, but he's also Blackbeard's father. So yeah, it's like a little interesting Loki's story growing up, seeing that he wanted a mother's love, while which Hadruden had, but Hadruden, while he has the mother's love, probably also wanted to become a strong warrior and be recognized as Howard's legal son, if you will, as he was blamed as his brother nearly got him killed, when everyone blamed him for the famine, and then being mocked by guards for not being the blood son, if you will, or being not official royal son, if you will, but stuff like that. Anyway, I've gone on long enough about the last chapter. I'm going to time to get into the actual chapter. Though before that, there's of course the few cover spreads. Before we do this colored one here, Shonen Jump has done a magazine of Luffy, which you see his Britzy post time skip standard look, and behind him, with his arm around his jolly hat. Around him is the numbers representing each of the gears: gear 2nd, gear 3rd, gear 4, and gear 5, in which you see Luffy using gear 2nd for the first time in pre-time skip close, and with the smoke. The gear 3rd's giant fist. Gear 4's Kong Man. I can't tell if that's the Dressrosa look he has on him or not, but and of course the standard gear 5 Nika look with when he's got the shirt on, if you will. So yeah, that's a nice little homage, Shonen Jump cover, I guess you could say, which shows Luffy's growth and journey throughout the years and all the different gears. So that was nice. Anyway, I've gone on long enough. Time to get to the actual cover here, in which we see Luffy jumping. We see the Straw Hats on a high, colored building, if you will, with Luffy swinging with his gum, eating a drumstick, if you will, having the time of his life. But Usopp is clinging on strongly to him because he does not want to fall. In the background, you see a bunch of colored birds, as you can see here. Most of them look the same, except maybe this one here. And you see the Straw Hats all around. Frankie in a hot air balloon that has One Piece on, waving to everyone. Robin and Chopper walking through this ladder, looking up at Luffy. Zoro also walking and being a bit more, casual about it. Brock playing his music. A violin, been a while since that. And Sanji trying to get Nami, hold on to me, as Nami is clinging on to Jinbei as they're about to cross this ladder bridge, if you will, which no doubt would probably make Sanji jealous. So yeah, it's a nice little color spread. Granted, it's not really my favorite of the ones that Oda's done, or the most arguably memorable. I'd say probably one of the memorable ones for me was the chess set that they had Robin and the Straw Hats. In the during the Egghead one. That one that's arguably a more recent one. Anyway, I have just gone on long enough about this. Color spread. Time for the actual chapter and the summary, where the chapter begins with let's see, Rox and Loki. Let's see, Loki answering sort of apologies, I was just refreshing myself. The chapter begins with Loki just saying that, yeah, this is Elbaf, but his dad ain't here on some expedition, and asking, like, are they really humans? Because they seem like, let's see, very puny and all that stuff. Let's see, you've got, I think, Stussy thinking that Loki's being adorable, but Rox being surprised by the fact that Loki is apparently Howard's son. Let's see. But regardless, Rox asks if you can still get in touch with him. So he asks for Loki's name. He gives the name, of course, and he tells Loki that he wants him to go direct to his house and get someone to contact his father, and that tell him to pass on this message that Loki is gravely wounded. Return to Elbaf at once. But Loki is furious. Let's see that demand, thinking, why should I listen to humans, if you will? Calling them saying it's not like his dad would come and help him. And so he says, like, I'm not going to be ordered around by a bunch of weaklings. And this is where Rox draws out his sword, if you will. And apparently you get a description of his sword. Apparently attacks are famous for blasting everything in sight, like a gigantic hammer or cannonball. And then, of course, we see here he damages and defeats Loki in just one blow, with him then laughing. Okay, here you go. Loki's gotten wounded, so call like your dad. And the narration box talks about how this man crossed Howard, King Howard about a year ago at the Reverie, where let me just I've gone back too far and so already screwing up, but yeah, where 5 kings have been attacked and captured, and people saw that the abduction was probably taken by a large man in a dress, and we see Emu, tending to his butterflies. We're going about how the lives of these kings are no threat to him, and then we of course see as this spread here is Rox D. Sebek in the flower garden, casually having a chat with Emu, if you will. But he goes like, he's saying, yeah, you're probably right, but your Holy Land is in a panic. As the description goes like how this historic event, or this, never has been repeated before or since. And we talk about how someone infiltrated the flower chambers at the core of the Holy Land. And we end up seeing that the assistant here maybe possibly let me just find it. Gunko, who or at least someone that looks like Gunko. I mean, the eyes make it seem like it's Gunko. Granted, the hair's a lot longer and veiled kind of thing. So, and there's the mouth covering thing, which does indicate it could be Gunko. Granted, it does leave a lot of questions whether or not this is actually Gunko or Gunko's mum, since there are certain people are wondering about the whole Gunko seems to have known Brock when she was a child, and Brooke should be alive around this time. Possibly as a god and all that stuff. So it's led to all kinds of speculations about whether or not this is Gunko or Gunko's mother. But either way, she seems to be a member of the Maymar family at the very least, is serving as Emu's personal assistant at the very least. So there is that. But But anyway, as we see, as Rox and Emu are having their sort of conversation. Emu, turns around, unfazed by Rox's presence here and all that stuff. As Rox apparently described himself as a worshipper of Davy Jones. He didn't do anything more than, just being in the flower room, since he knew he could not really do any actions against Mu. But he did depart, leaving a message saying that he will be back right here. So, Emu got a visit from Rox, but he decided not to fight, and then, but felt he would return one day, which of course probably he never did. But As we know, something like, as narration goes, this bit of news would never see the light of day, given the fact no one supposed to know about Emu. But the narration talks about how another man also infiltrated the kingdom at a certain day, and as we probably all can guess, it is like Loki. I mean, King Harold. The world nobles we see who have a bunch of ritzy, standard ugly-looking face designs. Some of them like ugly teeth, ugly lips, or let's say eyelashes, bubble, bitsy, chubby, all kinds of that kind of stuff. Where world nobles are all being amazed by King Harold's size for a giant, as someone who was a slave, and others want him to be stuffed as like for display. You got guards declaring that they need to protect the world nobles. So yeah, we've then got King Harold running, talking about how he's on fire, and like apologize for trespassing, but thinks that what they're doing is unnecessary. Let's see. As he's also accused of being one who abducts the kings, which he goes like, that's not me. And then we get sort of like a narration box about how about apparently an animal's been defeated, which is probably the one that Rox killed that we know of. Now, granted, we don't know if Rox had killed this admiral before encountering Emu or after, because if it's after, that means he's just recently killed it. So everyone tells that his attack went to the palace until they'll be wary. Let's see, the world nobles are going like, what's all this hubbub about? Saying that they want they always want the giant to let's see, Howard to be their slave. Howard realized that Rox is the one that attacked kidnapped the kings, so he's not going to let him get away with being the fall guy, and he decides he's going to seize him. Rox, however, is surprised that there's a giant in the Holy Land, and wondering if this guy is lost or something. As a result, the two clash with Conqueror King's hockey, if you will, confirming that they both have it. In many ways, doing a sort of like the standard Yonko like kind of clash you get with like Shanks and Whitebeard, and Roger and Whitebeard, and Big Mom and Kaido and Luffy. That kind of like clash here, if you will. So yeah. Let's see, as the narration talks about the clash between these strangers, eradicated any sign of and if anyone around them in 5 kilometers. Let's see, then you get them sort of laughing and asking each other for their names, and he goes like, I'm Harold, and let's see, Rox goes like, I'm Rox, telling them to aim at the town with the next blow, saying they'll capture and turn you to a slave. He's like, what, why? But he says, just do it, and they do their clash, and then Rox ends up asking Harold where Elbaf is, saying that's in the New World. With Rox saying, if we survive, let's meet again. But Harold doesn't really want to console with a villain like him. And then he jumps off like the red line, which is insane. As the narration box goes about how the Navy Admiral had just struck down, Rox had struck down, had perished from his wounds despite all the best medical attempts that they could try to make sure that he would stay alive, because, well, as we know, characters are very very rarely dying in One Piece, but it's like it seems not even the medical treatment could save this admiral. So yeah, let's see. So Rox's crimes would be spread towards the public, launched into infamy, if you will, and his deeds, of course, stun the world, as we got a bounty. The only downside is that we don't actually see the bounty, which is a bit of a shame. But nevertheless, we get this like a little post of what he looked like on his bounty, which some have compared to the Buggy bounty poster, which leads to many some of Buggy fans leading to like, the theory that Buggy is also a son of Rox D. Sebek. Granted, we don't know if that's true or not, but nevertheless, that theory is now out there. So who knows? We'll have to wait and see if Oda will actually confirm this. I mean, he already did the most obvious one with Rox and Blackbeard, but who knows? But anyway, we're going to get more of like, sometime later, some other Rox's feats where he attacked a ship with heavenly tribute to the, Rege World that the World Nobles collects. And then apparently, which is perhaps maybe an even, just as insane feat as defeating an admiral, if you will, is destroying the Gate of Justice. Let's see, which, as you know, it's those giant gates connecting, let's see, the original Marineford and this lobby and Imperial Down, and they're supposed to be indestructible. The only way you can get through them is someone let you through, like hypnotizing them, hypnotizing the guards, if you will. That's what happened with the Blackbeard pirates. But nope, it seems Rox managed to destroy it. And apparently, let's see, as he talks about, the ship and the money that was stolen from that stuff would be what Rox would drive in through his pirate business, if you will. And then we end up getting like talking about how Rox, always always hostile towards the government, but he actually targeted other pirate ships. And then the narration talks about how there's a in the pirate to this famous game played between crews, which of course is the Davy Back fight, and which gambles crewmates and flags, as we saw what happened in the Long Island arc. And Rox apparently made quite a good use of this game, as you can see here, doing similar races to what we saw, where he assembled his crew like this. And even though there were a crew that didn't even have a flag as they did this, and we see like a Rox with like Whitebeard, Shiki, and Stussy from like the previous chapter on the ship, where he's talking to the crew about how you've got someone amazing that Elbaf that you just got to see, as they eventually his narration talks about, and this is why they arrived at Elbaf. We then cut to like where we cut to like Elbaf's like castle, if you will, where Howard actually hurried back as soon as he heard, and thinking it was the belief that his son, who despite his strength was a bit worried, and tells him to stay away from the underworld. And lucky that he only fell off a cliff, saying that the other dangers. Loki is shocked that his own father would actually come and visit him, thinking that it must be a coincidence. With Howard asking Rox what you're doing here, since he's heard all about your exploits. With Rox saying he's just been dying to see his pal. And we see he's asking how to join his crew, thinking that trying to persuade him the world government won't really hear him out. Didn't like the lesson from last time. Rox thinks Howard refuses, thinking that if he teams up with Rox, he'll destroy the goodwill he's had. But Rox saying, so what? Rather be at the ground beneath the world government's heel. Are you really want to do that, Matt? Bitsy buddy? As Howard just talks about wants to try and avoid having fight and be equals with everyone. And Rox try and say he's talking nonsense, and Elbaf is a nation of mighty warriors, and saying that anything you don't like, you could just smash to bits. As they're having this conversation, we see a bunch of pirates here just enjoying the feast. Some we know, such as Shiki, Stussy, and Whitebeard. And then we got some new faces like this guy here that looks like Caribou. This armored dude here, which I think appeared in a Rox flashback in Kuma's, and there's mob boss from like that looks like he might be from Beige's side, and I believe the West Blue, if you will, with the mafia families. So they are just eating their meal. Some of them comment about how huge Howard is, and like, okay, so he's the king of the Elbaf. Anyway, you get like Rox saying that that's Elbaf's ancient history and it's changing. With Rox saying people's nature don't even really change. He knows that there's the bloods of the giants warriors running in through their veins. Whitebeard is just saying, can we just eat our meal in peace? And then Howard tries to tell the other Rox Pirates members that if you follow this man, only disaster awaits you. And then we get like narration boxes like all the groups, like Shiki here being apparently a mobster who would like to become the future Golden Lion. He just likes laughs at this, thinking that let's see, he's not really following this for let's see, he doesn't really care. They're all individuals about this, and if Rox dies, none of them will like him. And let's see, give a dang if he did, as it seems like he just only got recruited for like the David Black fight, if you will. And Stussy ends up let's see, Buckingham Stussy, who is like, you know, the the Stussy we know from CP0 got cloned from. Let's see, going like let's see why this is true, but he does talk about how Rox's plans have some sort of appealings to her, such as making a killing with fortune, if you will. And then we get the mob boss man's his name, where apparently he's a gangster for West Blue, Don Marlon. Whether or not he has any connections to Beige remains unclear, but he goes like, talks about how, you know about Fullard Island, the pirate island, everyone calls it, saying that they ship out all the hardened criminals there, and the countries can't handle their own prisoners. And then, of course, we get Whitebeard here, let's see, here, and then about how he's the future, let's see, Whitebeard, but as Edward Newgate at the time, saying that it's supposed to be a deserted island without food, where everyone goes to die, or criminals are being sent to die, if you will. And then we end up seeing that this dude here is Wang Shi, the man that Blackbeard would steal, let's see, Pirate Beehive from, who seems to be very much like, looking like Karibo, if you will. Hold on a sec. Whoop. Damn touchscreen. There we go. Talks about how in recent years they survived and built a settlement there. I'm wondering, like, how do you think that might have happened? As let's see, you get the like his Wang Shi, future Commodore of Pirate Island, and then we've got the armored guy here, and we get his name, which is apparently Ganzu, who talks about how it turns out there's a lot of gold under the island, and when the criminals on the road found out, they rushed to help mine it, and the prisoners made themselves a fortune. Let's see, and the government was seeing red as a result of that, where they then talk about how the island's crawling with fishers, Bringers, saying get anywhere near it and you get robbed. And so Rox has made apparently a deal with the world government where, let's see, he will get the island back for them if they give him like a, let's see, basically a decent amount of sum about it, and they'll go raid the island treasure. But let's see, they ain't going to give it back to the government in the end. Or the island of the prisoners, as Rox declares he's going to rule over Fullard and get the idiots there who live and to help build his pirate paradise, if you will. Saying that you can't wait to see the look on the government's face after he is like, you know, tricks them and all that stuff with this plan, if you will. Let's see. As he then ends up declaring to like let me just get it up. Oh yeah, King Harold here, that saying that this is just a prologue to his life with the island as his base. He'll wipe out Navy and bring in the Holy Land to its needs and declare himself king of the world. Where Howard says he's going to make an enemy out of the entire world, thinking that's too much to handle. So let's see. Go ahead and doubt me. Sooner or later, someone's going to do it. Declare it as Rox, sort of like here. Oops, I guess I don't. Here he is. Here's the image. Declaring that there's no authority in the world that lasts forever. Saying let's go team up, and saying that they're unstoppable. And I forgot to see crop the image, but we see, of course, a young Loki here. Kretzy bandaged around his eyes again. Kretzy crying and being amazed by what Rox has said, as Howard is saying that save your breath, I'm a king. Of Rox, when I think I care, as he's just amazed by what Rox is going to do about the world. Telling them, let's go take over the world together, as narration goes, and the next thing Loki knew, his outlook on life had been saved. And then we get the narration about 4 years later, after Howard ignored repeated invitations, Rox's plan finally came into motion, And after the full murder will line up to join him, cause the world to quake with terror as we see the Rocks Pirates flag officially, declared, ending the chapter as, they're about to, officially form as a group on Pirate Beehive, starting the history that we learned of the Rocks Pirates in chapter 957, ending the chapter, if you will. On a second, just getting refills my drink. So yeah, now that that's done, time for my overall thoughts on the chapter, I guess. So yeah, first of all, I guess like all the stuff with Loki and Rocks, and I guess even to some extent King Harold, it was actually nice to sort of see how the relationship started out at first. As we can probably guess, Loki being like a giant, never really seen humans before, and not to mention his own giant supremacy views at the time, at the very least, thinks like a human like Rocks is just too inferior to like give him demands and all that stuff. So he gets enraged, but Rocks is just willing to say to Brat, just give the order to your dad that to want your dad's guardsmen to come and check on him because he's injured. But of course, Loki, who probably ended up giving a bad impression to Rocks afterwards, decided to beat the living daylights of him. And it's interesting how, as a result of this little beatdown, we end up learning that Rocks' style of fighting, as a swordsman, is not like the sort of standard slash and cut, but more like power moves that feel like he's whacking a hammer, if you will. It is interesting that Oda is now starting to do a bit more, talk more about sword styles, because there's always been, of course, a debate of whether or not who is the greatest swordsman. There's some characters that should be considered the greatest, because Roger wielded a sword. Now it seems like Rocks and Sobek. Does that mean that were they ever considered the greatest swordsman of the time before Mihawk, or I don't know. Anyway, frankly, I assume Oda will be a bit more clear on the whole sword thing when he's finally ready to tackle Hawkeye's backstory and why he is regarded more as the better swordsman than the likes of Shanks, despite the fact that Shanks seems to be a master of hockey and all that stuff. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see how Oda does that sort of explanation. I assume it's just based on pure skill of the sword, but yeah. But either way, I do like how Loki, just due to the fact that he is unable to since he never got love from his own mother, it does not seem to think that Harold would actually come if he was injured, and seems to doubt it, and is pleasantly surprised that, well, not really, and is completely surprised when he does actually come up. And due to the fact that Loki never received love from his mother, he does think that no one would actually love him, at least at this point in his life. It is completely, he cannot seem to actually think that, okay, maybe his dad does actually love and care for him. I mean, granted, it could be possible towards the end when he's possibly killing his own dad, who, King Harold, when it seems like he had no choice in the matter. It seems like he did eventually come to actually care for his father. But at the moment, it doesn't seem like he thinks that all that highly of his dad. But yeah, I do like how Rocks' words just end up being a sort of the inspiration for Loki. He's hated the world, and here's a man that's talking about destroying it and all that stuff, and bringing a new one. And I can see it for someone like Loki, who has just gotten a bad hand from the world. Everyone hates him and all that stuff. I can see why he would admire a man that would want to destroy it. Unfortunately for him, that man thought he was too young to be a part of his crew, and even beat him up a few times when he was challenged to a fight, which of course Whitebeard found you're going too harsh a few times then, towards Rocks, if you will. So yeah. Anyway, I think what's got most people talking in this chapter, of course, is the fact that Rocks actually met Emu, which I think for many people was pretty unthinkable, unheard of, and There's no way anyone could do this, but Roxy Sebek managed to do it. A feat that not even the Pirate King himself, as far as we know, ever did. So yeah, he ended up meeting and ended up doing, of course, this cool badass pose, which has led to many, as a result of this chapter, got more swing to the favor of like, okay, if Blackbeard is Rox's son, that probably means that Blackbeard is going to do the same and even surpass. So he's going to like take down Emu and then replace him as like the final villain, because as we have probably seen from like every time something either Blackbeard does or the Blackbeard Pirates does or whatever the stuff like the world government and Emu does, the fandom of course just splits between going like, oh, let's see, Blackbeard's the final antagonist. No, Emu is the final antagonist. Debate between them all. Heck, when chapter 1150 came out with like showing Mu's abilities, a lot of people definitely were like, okay, yeah, let's see, Emu's devil possessed Gunko. Let's see, giving a glimpse of his abilities. This basically kind of confirms that, okay, Emu is very likely to be the final villain, being like the literal devil itself, or at least possessing the devil fruit, if you will. But let's see, this chapter here with Rox entering the Holy Land and vowing that someday he will return has given a lot of like those who are more on the pro Blackbeard side of being in the fandom of being the final antagonist. Let's say of like Blackbeard eventually going to complete what Rox failed to do, return here and dethrone Emu and take his place. Which, if you believe the sort of free devil fruit theories, is that Blackbeard will get one more devil fruit, and the next one will be like the devil fruit. So yeah, basically the other sort of evil darkness one besides, I guess, the Yami Yami no Mi. Who knows if that is the case? I mean, granted, from what we could see from Emu here, he was completely unfazed by Rox's kidnapping of 5 kings and all that stuff. So it's like at the time, Rox realized I do like how Rox realized, okay, he's not yet a match for like Emu. So I can see why. Let's see. On one hand, it's like impressive he got here, but at the same time, it's like, okay, I'm not quite ready to take on someone as powerful as Emu. So yeah, let's see. So that might get more in the case of Emu. It will probably be stronger than both, I guess, Rox and Blackbeard. But who knows? Either way, it is a good. I do like how Oda is keeping us guessing of like, okay, who's going to be the final antagonist? Is it going to be Rox? Or, I mean, both Rox's legacy with Blackbeard and all that stuff, or is it going to be, let's see, the ultimate evil that has ruled over for 800 years? Let's see, the devil, let's see, the possible actual devil fruit devil user. Let's see, Emu himself. So, yeah, who knows? Let's see. But regardless, either way, depending on, let's see, regardless of who has the final antagonist, I will say this. Let's see. Oda has done probably a good job of hyping up whoever, let's see, both Blackbeard and Emu / the world government of being the final antagonist. That I think, regardless of who Oda chooses in the end, let's see, I think fans will be satisfied with, let's see, regardless, because of how much build-up Oda has done to these two antagonist groups, if you will. But yeah, at the moment, I'm slaving towards more of Emu still, but who knows? But I can see how this would get more people like, yeah, Blackbeard's going to be the final antagonist. So, yeah. So I do like that and all that stuff. But, yeah, other than that, let's see. I do like how, let's see, we get and learn that, unfortunately, due to the fact that Howard was just here at the wrong place at the wrong time, if you will, and the fact that he came in here illegally, and I don't know how he was able to hide his disguise and all that stuff, hide himself in the disguise he did. I mean, this might just be a minor nitpick, but nevertheless, I do like how he tries to settle down the thing before realizing, okay, I've been framed, and then takes on Rox in a bit of anger. And I do like how this clash seems to be kind of like sort of Roger and Whitebeard kind of thing, where they clash, but more like a sort of friendly clash at the time. Howard's a bit more hostile because, well, he's like being framed for kidnappings, and it was like Rox is doing, but Rox is just more surprised of a pirate here. So yeah, but I do like how we've got confirmation that they've got Konkusaki clashes, and it wouldn't surprise me if, let's see, Harold is on the tier of the Yonko, which arguably you could say made sense because, well, if you look at the eras of like pirates before, let's see, Rox is Rox might be the top dog now. Let's see, during Brookie's era, the Giants were like the top dogs in terms of piracy, with even Harold himself being a very spoiled king, causing a bit of havoc around. But nevertheless, he was regarded as really strong and all that stuff. And it's not until, like, of course, Ida came in, Hedrudan's mother, to set the record straight, and then he became the king he is today. Which would be an interest. I do wonder if there'll be some interesting fanfic and theories of like, or what if sort of discussions about, if Harold was younger and he met Rox before he met Ida, would he have joined him more properly on that kind of front? But yeah. But either way, we get a good idea of like just how strong Rox is with this hockey clash, as well as King Harold, who there might be like a prototype Roger and Whitebeard, if you will. So yeah, there's that at the very least. So yep. Anyway, sorry, I drank a bit too fast there. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah. We end up learning as a result of, like, I guess the only nitpick I have with this thing is the fact that we've got this one bounty here of Rox, and which is cool. And I already talked about the buggy theories, but like, no actual bounty. Would have been nice just to see maybe a few billion and all that stuff. Given the fact that he did take down an admiral, apparently. Only other thing to note is what I mentioned earlier with like Gunko here. Let's see, at least possible Gunko mother. Right, so at least someone related to Gunko. Whether or not it's actually her or not remains to be seen, but we finally get an idea of what the assistant might look like. For all we know, this could be the same assistant that we still see today, and Gunko and her are not the same person. We'll have to wait and see what takes place, because we do have that Etsy Gunko and Brock flashback that at some point Oda is going to have to probably explain what kind of relationship these two characters had, especially if Gunko's already from the SBS, already a sort of world noble. Even Mitzi from like was born from that family, not really offered a post in the God's Knights as many people suspected. Anyway, I do like how the sort of Davy Black fight had come back in for like the pirates and that stuff. Since granted, I thought many people thought that the Davy Black fight would be used as a way to get Shanks and Luffy to compete for like the road poneglyphs and all that stuff. So for One Piece to try and prove their worth. So have a more friendly duel and all that stuff and competition between the two respective crews. But it's actually the prize is like a last ticket to One Piece, if you will. But no, that didn't end up happening. No one actually saw. Let's see, that didn't end up actually happening. And let's see. It seems like Luffy and Straw Hats are more dealing with the God's Knights antagonists, and of course an evil Shanks twin, if you will. So yeah. But instead, it seems like Oda, has at least found a way to incorporate the Davy Black fight into a more modern story by revealing that the method that Rox would do to recruit his crewmates is challenging them to like the Davy Black fight and then win them and all that stuff. So, which makes sense given the fact that maybe the crew don't really like him and all that stuff. They don't even talk about him, even when he's dead. So they've given the explanation that okay, so let's see, this is giving us this flashback is giving the explanation. Okay, he won subordination when he defeated them in David Black fight, or defeated their captains of groups and then took the members he wanted. So yeah, it is an interesting sort of recruitment phase where only Foxes have done it, but Rox has done it on a much more huger level and arguably created like the biggest pirate group ever. So at the very least, I don't know if anyone ever suspected that the David Black fight would be used for more of a flashback thing, like lore, but info dump like this, but never, and more of like for another arc, like I said. But nevertheless, they end up doing it for this. And to be honest, I think this works with like Roxy Sebek, as it gives them a sort of unique way of like challenging the strongest and then getting their allegiance and then allowing him to do his plans, if you will, for the long term. So yeah. Anyway, let's see. Where did I put my phone? Hold on a second. Let's see. Just needed to like there it is. So I just wanted to just double check where I am on the giving my thoughts on the chapter. Yeah, I've already done the Clash, the bounty posters, but yeah. Anyway, I do like how we finally get a bit of like let's see a grouping of like the Rocks pirates and all that stuff. So yeah, this panel here. Let's see. Well, we got it's at least some of the members that we've been either hearing about or ones that we're like, okay, who's this guy? Who's this new guy? And all that stuff. So yeah. I do like how Rox seems to have like this is a bit of a charismatic figure, but also does seem to like, despite the fact that he probably just won the most of his crew through like Davy Black fights. They have no foot. Let's see, no sort of like real loyalty to him and all that stuff. Nevertheless, Rox, there are some people that Rox does like to befriend and all that stuff. And he seems to have taken a liking to Hal, despite the fact that Hal doesn't really want to do anything to do towards Rox, as he views him as nothing but a criminal that nearly got him arrested at the Holy Land, if you will. And also the fact that if he teams up with a criminal like Rox, he will not, let's see, he would lose like the sort of like trust in the trust he has built up over the years with other nations. Let's see, basically saying like you allied with a terrorist, if you will. So it's like yeah, you can see why he would not really want to join Rox's ambition. I even like how tries to persuade the other crewmates that that's a bad idea to follow him, but they already go like, yeah, we know that. We don't even care if he dies or not. With some of them doing like but there are some bits of his plan that we like that think that can benefit us, like with Stussy. So yeah. But of course, the highlight, of course, is learning about the sort of new members, but also interesting, like hold on. Some of the new members like this Don boss here, Don Marlon, because I think the first time we heard about it. So yeah, let's see. Oda. So who knows? Could he be Caban Beja's father or grandfather? We don't know, but nevertheless, it goes to show you that all types of criminals ended up joining him. Heck, even Shiki was apparently a mobster before properly becoming a pirate, and his attire makes some people want to come from Wano and all that stuff. And also, we got a confirmation. Okay, let's see. We finally know who Wang Shi is, the man who would be the villain that would be taken down during the Rocky Port incident that made Kobe Law famous, as well as like Blackbeard solidifying his like status as a Yonko by getting a pirate base and all the pirate crews that rang among it. So yeah, we've got that. But yeah. So, but yeah, we finally got a face of Wang Zhi here, and the fact that he looks a bit like Karibo makes some theories that, okay, Karibo might just be trying to secretly just getting like Blackbeard's good grace before killing him. But granted, I do think like it's just like just drawing some designs into like he actually like, confirms or not. But yeah, but nevertheless, and also the fact I think Karibo is too much of a Blackbeard fanboy. I think you'd even forgive him for like killing his own father. But then again, for all we know, if he is Karibo's, I might be pronouncing the name wrong, by the way. Karibo's for we know, Kaguya might actually not really get along well with Rangshi, but I don't know. But something tells me that they're not really related. It's just more of just coincidence by design. So yeah. But anyway, I do like how let's see, with Rox, we get like with Rox's plans here. Hold on, let me just Rox's plans here with Howd is like we end up learning quite a bit. We get a lore of bit of like pirate beehive, if you will, where it was like originally a dumping ground for criminals to starve and die off, if you will. But eventually, of course, you get all like the money and resources that basically that the underworld helped the criminals there when they discovered gold, making some fortune, and then Rox decides that, okay, since I'm not officially a pirate group yet, I'm going to persuade the world government to like give me the resources and money to like take the island, and I'll give it back to you. But instead, he's just going to take those resources, take control of the island, and make it his base of operation to bring them down, go and like look on the world's face. So yeah, I do like that ambition. And he does want, and I do like how Rox wants Hal to join him for that, but Hal's like, yeah, I'm not doing that, and you're a fool for taking on the entire world. But Rox is just like convinced that someone eventually's got to challenge it because no power in this world is maximum. And to be fair, that is a very true line. Heck, even here in the real life, we've seen many empires rise and fall. Some bigger, some not. Heck, even our own British Empire, where people used to say the sun will never set on the British Empire, eventually did so when we lost a lot of our territory, and Ritzy no longer could function as the British Empire and just instead became United Kingdom, not Ritzy. So yeah, eventually Rox's ambition is to take down the old status quo that's become the thing with the world government and the Celestial Dragons, and now begin his own reign of chaos, if you will. At least that's what I'm guessing, but yeah. I do like the sort of plan is it gives a bit of like a sort of Blackbeard vibes of like, okay, he's a bit of a schemer. So yeah, we're gonna find like we're gonna like trick the world government to give us the resources we need to take over the island, and then let's see build our own operations to take them down ourselves. So yeah, like that. I mean, granted, people have compared Rox a bit of like Luffy and Blackbeard as well, because well, Blackbeard the obvious one, but Luffy more of like his reckless, it's adventure kind of thing. So who knows? Let's see whether or not it is actually dark powering anyone, but who knows? But at the very least, Rox has sort of like the ambition, and it's enough to actually move Loki. So yeah, and it seems like, of course, regardless of what Howd thinks between him and Rox carries out the plan anyway and brings out the Jolly Roger, which makes sense because, well, we do know that, let's see, from Sengoku, like I said earlier. Let's see, forgot what I was going to say. Oh yeah, chapter 957 was like described like this is the place where the Rox pirates were formed. So yeah, it's nice little seeing this little chapter building up of like a little bit more like Rox's character, his relationship with Loki and Howard, as well as perhaps to some extent his crewmates, as well as like surprisingly, let's see, interaction with Emu. So yeah, props to that. So yeah. Overall, if I had to give this chapter a serious view score, it'd probably be a like 9 to 10, if you will. 9 of the more nitpicks about, I guess you could say, of the Mountain Post and a few other things that I'm trying to remember off the bat of my head, but I guess I can't. Or maybe there's some confusing bits in the timeline, I guess. But then again, I'm not sure if that's really where it's a nitpick, because at least leads some intrigue for like Oda, like what to get people guessing, if you will. Let's see. Seeing like more of like how Loki came to admire Rox, being hostile at first, but then come to admire him, that he wants to join his crew. Harold, of course, showing that he does actually care for his son Loki and all that stuff, but also, let's see, we got a glimpse of like his strength, and that he seems to be Yonko level at the very least, which would make sense given how his son is also seemingly Yonko level. Though granted, I guess not all genetics live up to that way, but yeah. So I did like seeing that, and learning Rox's fighting style, and learning that despite the Red Sea government's best attempts, they could not save the Admiral. Of course, Rox interacting with Emu, which no one saw coming, and arguably does a very good, strong case of, okay, maybe the Red Sea Blackbeard pirates would take over the world government or something, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see in that regard. It depends how Oda plays out the rest of the story. Let's see the interesting mysteries about Gunko, which may or not be that, but it causes confusion in the timeline a bit, but with Brook, but yeah, but other than that, that's just minor nitpicks, and like honestly, this is arguably another banger of a chapter compared to how last year showed up. Well, I guess that was more of like the epilogue of the chapter, but here's like the full-on thing. But yeah, so there's that. Rox's ambitions, and of course, like his plans, and actually getting to see other members of the Rox part. So yeah, you can see why I can see people scoring it very like 9 or 10. Depending on whether or not the nitpicks I've said Etsy affect them greatly, or they can ignore it and say, like, this is a perfect Etsy chapter to come out. So yeah. Anyway, that is my thoughts on the chapters, if you will. Let's see. Granted, this flashback, I guess you could argue, is becoming more of the Rox flashback than the actual Loki one. But I think it's like important just to establish like since Loki grew up admiring Rox, we're seeing what kind of person he is, and learning a bit about his ambitions to destroy the world, which appealed to Loki. So that, and the fact that he seems to encounter that other one of our 2 possible major antagonists. So yeah, who knows where that will lead? But yeah, overall, I'd say definitely a 9 to 10 out of 9 to 10 out of 10. I really enjoyed this chapter. I recommend everyone reads it. For those who end up listening to this podcast, I hope you enjoyed what I had to say, as I think I did a bit better explaining than like the last one. But yeah, that's just me. But anyway, I'm about to sign off. For those who end up listening, I hope you enjoyed what I had to say, and I will see you next time when I review chapter 1156. Whether or not when I review that one, I'm not sure. But for now, I am Blue Star Saber, signing out. Thank you for listening, everyone, and goodbye.